Now, get ready for uncensored sports madness. It's Dave in the City on Locks of the Week Radio.
Coast to coast, internet sports talk, Locks of the Week.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
Yeah, everybody have a show today. We had snow today, show today, show tomorrow.
I don't know if you want that on your credit card bill. You know, saying the WTF network on it. I mean, like,
Your dad could look at it and be like, Dave, you have something to tell me?
that's the story that they still.
It's unbelievable!
You have your LeBron in the play. It's like, do you really care about the James Jones at the end of the bench against potatoes?
Maybe the board, the MikeFrancisco.com, was just ahead of its time.
Pioneers.
Exactly, yeah.
Pioneers, if you will. Yeah.
We listen to this guy sit at a desk and picking his teeth every day and all the dumb stuff he does. But it's not like we're changing the dial. We like Mike. You know, we hate Mike. We love Mike. All that back and forth.
Bingo.
Unbelievable.
San Antonio Spurs, Dave. What do they say about them?
They're boring.
They're boring.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big Wednesday show. Good to have you with us here from Santa Monica tonight on this special NCAA Tournament preview program. We are going to be joined in our first hour by John in Connecticut and Chris in Syracuse to break down all the games and all the teams in the field of 64 and beyond. The first four is underway now. We will track those games and those scores as we get going here on the program. Last night, we can tell you from college basketball's ranks, the NAT also started. And as far as the first four, I mean, a lot of times it's inconsequential, but you remember in 2011, VCU was part of that first four and made a run all the way to the Final Four. So never count out the first four. So we will talk about everything to do with the bubble teams, the ones that made it in, the ones that were left out. And then we'll advance from that and get into the tournament coverage at large. In hour two, we segue from our NCAA tournament talk and chat with Kevin on the Cape. And we will do random questions in hour two, like the old days, and get that thing rolling. So big show tonight. John coming up here in hour one. Chris coming up in hour one as well. We will hear from them in just a moment. And then all the while I'm trying to make a corned beef. It didn't quite get to a boil, but it's close enough. So I'm going to put that thing to simmer mode, which is setting the stove to medium. And we'll keep an eye on that too tonight, in addition to all the college basketball. So a lot of excitement here. I believe it was Hampton who beat Manhattan last night in the beginning of the first four. And Ole Miss takes down BYU, which is a bit upsetting because BYU is having a decent year. But you know what? That team was kind of fighting it anyway. Tonight in action in our first four, we can tell you that Robert Morris defeated North Florida. And that's a little bit of a surprise, because some people thought that North Florida may have given the team a tough time. Not win, but they would have given someone a tough time. And then in the other first four game, we are still to hear from Dayton and Boise State. We'll tell you if anything develops there, we'll let you know. So here we go. Let's start our program tonight. And we have, again, two very good guests to join us here on the program. It's really a good time to be a fan of college basketball. And the best part about the whole situation is getting to follow the games all at once. It's all happening at the same time. And particularly, you see that phenomenon when you see the round of 64 and then the round of 32 a couple days later. There's just so much basketball to absorb at once, and a lot of it happens during office hours. And so it gets really interesting. So let's start it off. We have everybody on the line. We are ready to go. So I'm now pleased to introduce to you our two guests of the evening for the NCAA tournament preview. We will start with our friend John in Connecticut, who was very kind to join us tonight to break down all the scenarios. John, welcome to the show. How's it going tonight?
Doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me back. Of course, it's one of the best times of the year, March Madness. So looking forward to breaking it all down here.
Yes, very good. And I look forward to breaking it down with you all. Now let's go to our second guest of the evening, and that would be Chris in Syracuse, whose home team has been through a lot lately. Chris, welcome to the show. How's it going tonight?
Oh, stop it. It's going okay. I mean, I'm just going to go out in full disclosure right now and say that I know these first 4 games, as far as, most people picking your brackets, because, most office pools or whatever, you don't have to have them in until, Thursday at noon or whatever. But I'm 0 for 3 so far. It is going fantastic.
Wow. I don't know how that figure. I mean, a lot of times we just skip that round in our office pool, so that's not accurate. I'll tell you. Anyway, let's go to John now. Go ahead, Chris.
No, well, the thing is it's hard to include them in there because, you get the selection on, the bracket doesn't come out until, Sunday evening, and they start playing these games on Tuesday. And, it's just a lot, if you're organizing a pool, especially one, on paper in your workplace or wherever, it's hard to get that together in like 2 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I guess, they don't count for most.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Most pools, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, it's really, I think the 11s, the 6-11 or the 11-11, the 6-11 matchup that seems to be the one that we are kind of, or is it 11-11 matchup that we're kind of looking at? That's where we really see some possible juice. 16 versus 16, probably not much going to happen with that. So let's go to John. Let's get your thoughts first about some of the bubble teams. This is probably one of a rare number of years where there's not a lot of bubble team talk, not a lot of snubs where you can really say, hey, this team really got hosed. But we still did get some snubs with Miami and Temple. So your thoughts about bubble teams, who got in, who got out, and your take on the ones that didn't make it, John in Connecticut.
Yeah, I mean, my theory on this has always been, if you're arguing about being the 36th or 37th best team, to make it, just win more games. It's as simple as that. So I don't think there's any huge snub like this year, like there was with SME last year. UCLA didn't deserve to be in, but if it wasn't them, it was Temple or Colorado State taking their spot, and those teams are just merely average. So no huge gripes this year, just in terms of who gets in and who gets out. Obviously UCLA, the numbers just weren't there, but in the long run, either them or Temple or Colorado State weren't going to do much damage here in the tournament anyway. So I really don't have a problem with the selections of who got in and who got out, at least this year anyway.
It's a rare moment of there's really not much controversy this time around, and that's a bit of a rarity with this tournament. So let's go to Chris with any other thoughts you had to add as far as the bubble teams.
Not much more. I thought Colorado State was going to get in right up until Wyoming got the auto bid and kind of stole it away. I knew as soon as that game went final that cost another Mountain West team a bid, just because of the way that conference is down. That conference, I think I had mentioned it last week, always has some very, very poor, very, very bad RPI bombs in it. And with New Mexico being down here and UNLV being down this year, that just hurts it even more. So I kind of knew that somebody was going to get the shaft there, and it was probably going to be Colorado State, because Boise went and beat San Diego State there on one of the last 2 weekends of the year. I was pretty sure that got them in, just like the Gonzaga win got BYU locked in, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, UCLA, Temple, UCLA borderline, but I don't have a big problem with them being in there. People were thinking Miami I wasn't a huge fan. I mean, if you put some of those teams in, I don't think it would. Those teams that were left out aren't any better than the teams that are in there, is what it comes down to. They might not be much worse, but they're not any better.
Right.
Temple, you can take them or leave them.
All right. I think it's.
Maybe. So I know some people that I talk to, maybe with like Ole Miss and LSU, some of the mediocre SEC teams, they might not have been a huge fan of. But hey, Ole Miss already has a win, a 17-point comeback over BYU, so maybe they do know what they're doing.
Perhaps. We'll see if that carries over into the round of 64. So, good thoughts all. Now, we have since we don't have much bubble talk to talk about, let us talk about the team that also didn't. Your two teams, you kind of had a really nice run in the American tournament, John, and I did want to give them some propers for that because they had some really exciting comeback wins, and I can think of the game that they played against. I think it was Tulsa. Was it Tulsa? I believe it was Tulsa, making that comeback, even though they looked really out of it. Your thoughts about UConn's season after having won the championship last year?
It's pretty poor, actually. We can't even make the tournament in a down year. There's a lot of that, plays into their confidence they're in, but they just didn't play well all year. Rodney Curtis is a big transfer from NC State, and he really didn't come on until late in the season. Really, when you think about it, they had to win 4 games on their home court in 4 days, and it was a great effort, but they were behind in almost every game. You shouldn't be behind 10 points on your home court to Tulsa in the first place. So, disappointing season, but I have hopes for next year, and Kevin Ollie seems to be sticking the course, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, still waiting for good news about the conference, but it's just been improving. SMU is pretty good, obviously. Cincinnati's always going to be a contender, and just gotta hope the teams at the bottom recruit and get better. But overall, disappointing season, but certainly can't complain with coming off that unbelievable championship last year, that's for sure.
Definitely. I mean, it's a season that you can give a pass on because of the previous year's run. Okay, Chris. Well, we put it off long enough.
It could always be worse, right, John?
Oh man. Well, sanctions for three scholarships for several years. Numerous wins vacated involving ineligible players from 2004 to 2012. And then today we get the announcement that Jim Boeheim is set to retire 3 years from now. Chris, things are – I'm not going to pile on too much, but I will say things do not look great at Syracuse basketball program right now. So you are a Syracuse fan. Let us hear your perspective on the entire situation that goes back about a decade.
It's a tough spot. I'd like to seem like I sound fair, but I don't know. Some things are going to probably come off as, a little bit of a homer, but I don't understand why everyone's so happy. Everyone goes around yelling about how foolish the NCAA is in general and all these rules, and then they hammer somebody with these rules, and everyone's like, yeah, fry Boeheim. I don't know how that makes sense to me. Whereas any other time, it's like these clowns at the NCAA have to go until they enforce their rules, and then people are, for some reason, a fan of it. I think it's because they're not a fan of who's getting
all right,
pissed on at the time.
All right.
And I'd like to say this: if these punishments are the new norm, if I'm Roy Williams, I am scared shitless right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
With the academic scandal down there.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard.
As far as Boeheim's retirement, no one was sure he was going to go 3 more years anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We knew he was coming back next year, and after that, no one really knew. There's an opinion around town that he's committing to 3 years so that he will take the brunt of the punishment and not be leaving it to whoever comes next, whether it be Mike Hopkins or somebody else.
All right. Well, Chris has his word. John, let's get your word on this situation. Anything you'd like to add as far as the Syracuse sanctions?
No, not really. If anyone would know about the situation, it'd be Chris, obviously. Tough scenario there, taking away the scholarships. I mean, that's what really hurts you.
Yeah.
Especially at a program like Syracuse, where they're not really deep to begin with. Usually, they only play 6 or 7 guys, and that's really going to hurt over the next couple of years. So we'll see if they can overcome that.
Yep, it's going to be a mountain to climb.
Got a good class coming in. Got a real good class coming in. After that is after next year is going to be the big question mark. And the school's going to appeal the scholarships, and I'm sure the lawyers will get involved. And if the NCAA wants a lot, Syracuse wants not a lot. Maybe they get 2 or 3 of them back. You never know, something like that. I'm sure Boeheim will appeal a suspension. 9 games. I'm sure might get knocked down to 6 or 7. Something like that. So we'll have to wait and see how that process goes too.
Yep, indeed we will. So now back to the subject at hand, the tournament itself. The round of 64 begins tomorrow, and that will go for 2 days, as everybody knows. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the round of 32, which offers the berths in the Sweet 16, and we go from there. So we'll go region by region tonight, leading up to the Midwest region, where Kentucky, an undefeated team, which is a sort of an unbelievable thought in today's era of college basketball parity, enters the tournament without a loss, which is pretty amazing. And they are the last team to enter the tournament without a loss since, guys.
Wichita State.
Wichita State, last year. So it was only one. Yep. It's only been a year, but before that, it was UNLV in 1991 who entered the tournament unbeaten. So on we go. Let's start with the East. Villanova, number 1. I think people are, meaning me, are a little skeptical of Villanova because of last year's terrible performance in the tournament. But I think this team's better, so I feel like they'll be all right. We do have some upset alerts on the horizon, and I'll point a couple of them out. UC Irvine versus Louisville, and I bring that up because of 7'4" center Mamadou Ndiaye. I think I got that pronounced right, from UC Irvine. Huge guy. And so you also have Virginia in that conference. And, a lot of questions about their offense. LSU, Michigan State. Let's go to you first, John. Let's get your thoughts about the East bracket. What do you see there?
Yeah, I actually do not think this is too difficult of a bracket for Villanova. Virginia obviously was a very strong team all season, but they have the tendency to keep the games close just because of the style that they play. It's very slow pace. They run the shot clock, and they play great defense. So that style leads to close games, and I could see them getting picked off here. In the obviously after the first game against Belmont, although against the spread, I think Belmont could be a nice pick, but later on the road, I definitely can see Virginia losing. They weren't, in the same time Anderson came back either. But the other high seeds in this region, I mean, there's no way Oklahoma's a 3 seed. I mean, that's just a joke. And Lon Kruger's lost his last 5 games in the NCAA tournament. He's a really terrible tournament coach. I think they'll beat Albany, but I have them losing to Providence in the next round. Louisville is, Frances has been on his crusade telling you how horrible Louisville is. And obviously they're probably not a 4 seed. They're more like a 5 or a 6 right now, after they suspended Chris Jones and everything else. But they should be able to get by Irvine. I mean, that guy Njai he's huge, but he's really slow, and they're going to take advantage of him. But I'm really not impressed with them. Northern Iowa's a nice story, but again, they play a really slow style. Seth Tuttle's probably going to be the best player on the floor in most of these games that they play, although in matchup with Wyoming, they both play very similar styles, and I could see that being like a 50-47 game. Either way, it's going to be a good matchup. So overall, I mean, I think this is a very, very good region for Villanova. I can see them coming out of this. I think Providence is a team that you got to watch out for. They have 2 excellent players, Chris Dunn and Lazante Henton, and I really like their team. I can see them making a run. And your annual clown car game, I mean, who can try to predict North Carolina State, LSU? I mean, flip a coin and just vote. I mean, you have no clue which team here is going to show up. I went with NC State just because I think LSU is not a 9 seed. I think they should have been like an 11, maybe in the playing game. And their coach, Johnny Jones, he's just horrible. I mean, they have some really good talent on that team, and for them to lose some of the games they did, I can just see them pulling a no-show here. So that's why I went with the 8-9 game. And I don't know if we're doing predictions now, Dave, but in my Elite Eight game, because I think we'll get Final Four later. So in my Elite Eight, I have Villanova and Providence. They have Big East, not a rematch. So that's my thoughts on the East region.
Well, that's not bad. It kind of has a little bit of old Big East flair to that. That's pretty cool. So, yes, we will do predictions on the Final Four coming up after we break down each of these regions. So we can include Elite Eight predictions in there. I think we have enough time. So let's now go to Chris for your thoughts on the East Regional or the East region.
I guess I'm just a little bit higher on Virginia. I'm hoping that Anderson will be a little more further along and recovered, and maybe some practice, some rest and some practice will have him looking better than he did in the ACC tournament. But a great defensive team. I will say a second-round matchup against a Tom Izzo team scares the shit out of me. It should scare the shit out of anybody. If you're playing Michigan State in March in the tournament, you should be afraid of what's going to happen, because every year, no matter what the circumstances, who's hurt, if they're down, if they're up, if they got people out, people hurt, they always find a way, and they're always there. This year, they lost more games this year than I think they have in the past about 5 years put together. But they're always a threat come this tournament, and he is a master of getting them to that point. A lot of the rest of this bracket is, I do like Villanova. They score in bunches. But aside from that, a lot of this is mediocre. Providence, I was actually considering, Henton and everyone else on that team. I was a little disappointed a couple times I saw them. Louisville, they're struggling a little bit. They still have Montrezl Harrell, and he is still a bona fide star. But I really like UNI in that matchup if they can get past Wyoming. Wyoming's biggest plus is they have their star back, Larry Nance, and who led them to the Mountain West tournament title. He was out for a while. He had mono, and he's just rounding back into form, and he is very good. But I can see a Villanova-UNI matchup, which would be one of the most awkward clashes of style I could ever think of, with Villanova running all over the place and wanting to score and get all these possessions, and UNI just taking the air out of the basketball and running motion and trying to feed Seth Tuttle inside. John's absolutely right about Oklahoma, I think. They have some nice players. Buddy Hield's a star, but he's not, he can't do it alone. And you're right, Kruger's not a very good coach. And I also have NC State in the 8-9, just throwing that out there, because LSU is one of the most puzzling teams I've seen this year. Just don't know what to say. They're so big. They should wreck teams inside, and they don't. Mm-hmm. And Mark Gottfried, he might not be the best, but he can coach circles around Johnny Jones.
All right, good points, Chris.
So if we're doing Elite Eight predictions on that one, I have chalk Nova against Virginia.
Okay. I think we can make those official predictions in a bit, but it seems like we pretty much have them already for the East. I want to ask about Michigan State, John, because last year you had them winning the whole thing, and you were pretty close. Really, the only team that kept them from that was your team, UConn, so obviously a win-win for you. But comparing that to this year's Michigan State team, how much magic do you see in the Spartans? How far do you think they can go?
They certainly showed they could play with anybody, with their game against Wisconsin, but they also showed that, when they lost 11-0 in overtime, they didn't score a point, that they're very inconsistent, and they seem to be playing their stride. I am with Chris. If I'm Tony Bennett, I am scared to death of playing Michigan State in the second round. I'm sure he's praying that Georgia beats him, but I don't see that at all. I think Michigan State beats Georgia, and probably stupid, but in my bracket I have them beating Virginia. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm trying to reach here to try to get some extra points, but I figure it's worth a chance. It'll be a close game, and we'll give Izzo a shot. In that one, and then I do have them losing to Providence, like I said before.
That's interesting. I have the same matchup. I have Michigan State, Virginia, and I have Michigan State winning that too. So could be interesting to see how that one goes. So, all right. So, all right, fellas, thanks for that. Now to the South region. We are chatting with John in Connecticut and Chris in Syracuse tonight in our 2015 NCAA Tournament preview. Glad to have you with us. We're at 424-258-9251 if you have a basketball-related question. But we'll also segue into random questions. You can also ask it in hour 2 with Junkman and I. So let's keep going. We're breaking down these regions. And in the South, Duke is your number 1 seed. Hey, they've had a tremendous year. And they've had some downs, but mostly ups. They had a big win against Virginia. They've had some nice wins overall. They didn't do so well in the ACC tournament, but I still think that they are a deserving 1 seed and probably will do a pretty decent job in the tournament this year. The rest of the field in the South, you have Gonzaga, who really did not have much of a strength of schedule at all, but their out-of-conference schedule is very good and a very big team, so we know about them. I have an upset alert. I feel like UCLA could beat SMU because of their defense. I may be completely lost for that, but the team nobody thinks they deserve to be in the tournament could end up beating SMU, but we'll see. And then second upset alert, I haven't ruled out Stephen F. Austin against Utah. So them, and then you have Iowa State, who had big hopes and dreams and a very NBA-style offense, will be in the South region. Some interesting scenarios to talk about. Let's go back to John. Your thoughts about the South region?
Well, this one's interesting, Dave. Anyone who knows me, I love me some Iowa State, and I'll be backing them in this region. The way they get behind does worry you a little bit. I think the last 5 games they've had a deficit of at least 10 to 15 points. I remember that Oklahoma game a couple weeks ago. They were down like 21 on their home floor in the second half, and they came back. But the way they play, it's a really refreshing Fred Hoiberg style, and they're just really talented. And I trust him in pretty much just any matchup. They call up with a plan as long as all their players are healthy. Obviously, the injury to Niang just killed them in the tournament last year, but they're healthy this year, and they're on a roll right now, and I can see them doing some damage here. As for the rest of the region, I'm really not sold on Gonzaga again. This is probably the few's best team, but again, who have they played all year? Their non-conference schedule was decent, but it wasn't, they weren't playing top 10 teams every time. They had a really nice game with Arizona if they lost, but other than that, if they'd played in the Big 12 or the ACC, they're going to lose 4 or 5 games. But we'll see. They're certainly talented. I have them losing to Iowa State in the Sweet 16, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got to the Elite 8 this year. I actually like a couple upsets in this region, and I could be way out on a limb here, but I really like Eastern Washington against Georgetown. Georgetown, again,
thank you.
They just choke every single year in this thing. I don't know what it is, but they have the DNA of a choking team. They're traveling all the way out to Portland, Oregon. Eastern Washington it'd be like a home game for them compared to Georgetown. They have the nation's leading scorer in this game, and I'm sorry to not do my research. I don't know his name, but maybe Chris does. But I do know he's the nation's leading scorer, and it's just a game that is just ripe for an upset for Georgetown to lose this. So we'll go with Eastern Washington in that one. I also have Stephen F. Austin in the 5-12 game against Utah. So I have the rare 12-13 matchup in the second round. I like Utah, and they've been really dominant at home, but on the road it's been different, and they kind of struggled to end the season. And this is their first tournament appearance in a couple of years, especially under the new coach, Krystkowiak, since he's gotten there. So I think they'll be a little tight, and I just like the way Stephen F. Austin plays basketball. They've been here last year. They won the game in the tournament last year, so they certainly won't be scared. So I'll take a chance at those 2 upsets. That's some other games in this region. San Diego State St. John's is just ugly. I wouldn't watch that if you paid me. That's just a brutal game. I'll go with San Diego State just because I think Steve Fisher's a better coach than Steve Lavin. And then Iowa Davidson, I like the way Davis plays basketball. Iowa has a lot of size advantage, but I'll go with the finesse team. I'll go with Davis in there. So overall, my Elite Eight matchup in this one will be Duke and Iowa State. Duke is certainly extremely talented this year. As I have the best wins of almost anybody in the country. You mentioned that before, Dave. So if we get that game, Duke Iowa State, that would just be, I think that'd be some really good basketball. So I'm hoping for that matchup.
I'd be rooting for that too. I mean, that would be really fun to watch. That's the thing. Duke is a fun team to watch, and I think speaking of the NBA, I think Jahlil Okafor. I've watched him enough. I don't watch nearly as much college basketball as the two of you do, but man, that guy's pretty good. I think he'll be a comfortable first-round pick in the NBA, and anyone that gets him, provided he doesn't get hurt like Jabari Parker did this year in the NBA, he'll be a very useful asset if he ends up going into the draft. So good stuff there. We see eye to eye with the Stephen F. Austin pick. That's interesting. So we'll see if that pans out. I think we both kind of feel the same. Chris, is that a triple checker and a checker with you? Do you have Stephen F. Austin in that game against Utah? Just really quick, like 2 seconds.
Yes.
Wow.
For some reason, it sounds like I don't have much to add from what John said at all. I think if we looked at our brackets, it'd be identical. I too like Eastern Washington. They score a ton of points, and Georgetown does not.
Georgetown.
Their biggest problem would be Josh Smith. Just drive the ball at him about 15 times in a row and get him on the bench.
Wow.
It's easy, really.
It's so funny about Georgetown. They are such habitual underachievers. Am I right? I mean, these guys always are one round less than you think they are. Was that last year or 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago. FGCU took them down. And wow. So anyway, let's move on to the next region. And this is a good region. The West is our next region in our NCAA tournament coverage with John in Connecticut and Chris in Syracuse. And the West is, by many experts' opinion, the most watchable, most enjoyable to watch of the four regions. And at the top, you have Wisconsin at number 1. Also in this region, Oregon, who has a guy named Joe Young who could really get off at any given moment. Arizona, a well-balanced team. And that's a lot of guys. TJ McConnell, you have Johnson, Hollis Jefferson, and Tarczewski. Baylor, a lot of people have been talking up here in this tournament, a team from a very good conference. In fact, probably the best conference in college basketball, the Big 12. And then you've got some interesting wild cards. Harvard, once again, wins the Ivy League, and they'll be playing North Carolina. I have that as an upset. I think Harvard beats North Carolina because they're just too mistake-prone. Arkansas and Wofford, and then also in that region, Xavier, and maybe even VCU. It's a very interesting region. Let's go to John for his thoughts on the West.
Yeah, I think I'd be extremely shocked if 2 weeks from now it was not a Wisconsin-Arizona game to see who goes to the Final Four. I like Baylor. I'm a fan of theirs. I think Scott Drew's done a really nice job this year. After what they had lost last season, their style of play. I mean, they rebound with just about anybody. I mean, they'll dominate you on the boards. Rico Gathers is just a beast inside, but I'd be pretty surprised if this didn't come down to Wisconsin and Arizona, which I believe was an Elite Eight game last year, if I recall.
It was.
Which was a great game. So, yeah, I think we'll get that again. As for the rest of the region, the only upset I have here in the first round, I have Ole Miss over Xavier just because every year since the first four had started, one of the teams who won, on Tuesday or Wednesday has won, the first round game, their next round game, and I don't see the winner of tonight beating Providence. So my other option is Ole Miss, and I don't love them, but I don't think Xavier's a 6th seed either. So I'll go with Ole Miss there. VCU and Ohio State. Ohio State's like a 4-point favorite in this game, and I hate VCU. I don't like their style of play. But they just never give up. I mean, I watched the A-10 tournament, and they were down in both games on the weekend, and they just keep coming at you. And I don't think Ohio State's very good. They have D'Angelo Russell, and that's about it. So I think VCU, just by sheer strength and will, even though they haven't been the same since they lost their best player to an ACL, but I think they'll win this one. So it's not an upset with a seed, but they are a 4-point underdog, so it's kind of an upset. Not much to say in the rest of the region. I mean, Arkansas and North Carolina should win. And I'm actually not sure how Oklahoma State got a 9 seed. I think they lost 7 out of their last 8 games. I really, really like Oregon in that game. Pretty surprised if they pick on much. Them lose by 20 points, but not much else to say here in this region. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't Wisconsin and Arizona playing for the right to go to the Final Four.
Yep, I would agree with that too. That's how I see it as well. And I also have Oregon beating Oklahoma State too. I think even though they lost to Arizona at the end of the Pac-12 tournament, they really did have a nice run. So much props to them. We'll see if they can pan out with that a very talented and athletic team. I also would remember that Wisconsin-Arizona game went to overtime last year, so it was that close. But it sounds like Arizona still has a few demons to fight. And I noted on the internet recently that Arizona has not been in the Final Four since the 2001 national championship game run that they made against Duke. It's been that long. It's been a long time. So we will see if Arizona has the tools to get there. I think they do, but we'll see if it pans out. So, Chris, your thoughts on the West?
Well, I was kind of at one point I had Wofford over Arkansas. Arkansas is very consistent.
Oh, right.
And they don't seem to play, and they don't play well outside of their home arena. They don't play well at all. But I've kind of backed off on them. I still have time to change it. But Wofford's not a great scoring team either, but they are a very good defensive team. And they had a pretty good record overall. But when you play in the SoCon or Big South or whatever one they're from, I get those two mixed up a lot. They don't have anybody that's a Michael Qualls or a Bobby Portis, and Arkansas does. I guess the last couple times I saw Xavier, I liked what I saw. I really did. They hit big shots. They played decent defense. They made free throws when they needed it. They forced some turnovers. I could see Xavier winning not only 1 but maybe 2 games. I guess we're going to disagree on the Baylor thing. Gathers is a force inside, but they just don't have a lot in the way of outside shooting. Guard plays a little off, I guess, but they are huge inside. So we'll have to see if they do meet. If Matt Stainbrook can handle himself against those Baylor bigs.
All right.
Other than that, I like Oregon. I like Oregon too, and Wisconsin and Arizona. They're the class. It's not going to be, I don't think, any of the other teams. So
okay,
it'll come down to those two, or at least one of those two.
All right, so we will get to that the predictions for the Final Four. So we'll predict that game basically in just a couple minutes. Now to the final region of the NCAA National Men's Basketball Tournament in Division I, the Midwest region, where the story is clearly Kentucky again, undefeated, trying to go for the first unbeaten season, fully undefeated year since 1976 when the Indiana Hoosiers did it under Coach Bob Knight. So Kentucky with Coach John Calipari entered the tournament down a guy. I allowed Poitras, but Towns is clearly one of the best players. The Harrison twins are on board too. Very good team. And so it is their bracket. And the question then is, who's going to challenge them? Well, let's go to John and Chris for the answers. We'll start with John. Your thoughts on the Midwest region?
The answer who's going to challenge them is no one in this region. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see it. I think they got a pretty easy region here, to be honest with you. Kansas, I don't know. They have a good record, and they have talented players. You just watch them play. They struggled in a number of games this year. Had to come from behind, and they just I can't explain it. They don't play aesthetically pleasing basketball, if that makes any sense. They just win really ugly, and I guess they're winning games, but certainly not the same Kansas team we've seen in past years. And those teams even, struggled in the tournament. They're kind of banged up too. I don't know the status of Perry Ellis, and they had some other injuries on their front court. So I think they'll get by New Mexico State, but I have been losing to Wichita State, and that would be just a humongous game in that state. Wichita playing Kansas. They'll be talking about that game for years. So I think Kansas is pretty overrated as a 2 seed. Notre Dame, this is probably their best team ever under Mike Bray, but again, he's a guy and a coach who his teams have really underachieved. So, you're kind of worried about picking them to go places, even though this is a really good team who had some great wins this year. You just don't know. And Maryland is just incredibly weak for. I know they have a great record, and who would have thought them to finish second in the Big Ten? But every time they went on the road against a decent team in the Big Ten, they just got hammered, and a lot of their wins were close. Vegas really does not like them at all. They've been underdogs or slight favorites in most of their games all year. This is no surprise, no exception rather against Valpo. I saw they're like a 3 or 4 point favorite. And then obviously the upset here, everyone's picking is Buffalo over West Virginia, and I can see it. West Virginia, they play that press defense, that full court press. That's how they generate their offense. They really don't score. They're not a good shooting team, and who knows if Jawan Staten's going to play. I know he was injured towards the end of the season. So really, it's a pretty weak bracket in terms of who's going to challenge Kentucky. The Texas Butler game, who cares? I didn't even want to see Texas in this tournament, but hey, they're here. They're actually favored over Butler, which kind of makes you think, 11 seed favored over a 6. So I swallow my pride and I take Texas in that game, but I don't like it. Purdue and Cincinnati, again, whoever wins gets to get beat by 30 by Kentucky. I just went with Purdue because they seem to have gotten better as the season has gone along. But overall here, I think the only 2 teams that could challenge Kentucky are Notre Dame and Wichita State. And wouldn't that be cool if Wichita State gets a chance to end Kentucky's unbeaten season after they did the same to them last year? So I think in this bracket, in my Elite Eight, I have Kentucky and Notre Dame, but I would not be surprised if it was Kentucky and Wichita State as well. So it's kind of my rundown on the the Midwest bracket.
You pointed a really interesting theme, a potential theme with Wichita State making that run to face Kentucky. If that did happen, that really would be a must-see TV because that game, by the way, was really good too, and it may have even been the game of the tournament because that was really that exciting, and just shot after shot. So we'll see. I'm not really interested to see what Wichita State does. They are in as I think I have him as a 7 seed. That's what I'm reading here. And so we'll see what happens. Let's go to Chris for his thoughts on the Midwest bracket. Region.
Kentucky all the way, I guess. I think Notre Dame on the right night could give them problems. I really do. If they start knocking down threes like they can knock down threes at times and it's sustained, I don't think Kentucky can score with them. I really don't. You got the Harrison twins, but they are not big time 3-point shooters. They make them, but that's not really who they are. It would have to take a lot. Notre Dame is not very good defensively, especially inside. Their big man inside, Zach August, he is more of an offensive big man, which I'm sure isn't going to matter because he's just going to get shut down by Cauley Stein, who is a freak on the defensive end of the floor. I take back everything I've said about him for the past 3 years because I was never a big fan, but man, can he play? Is he playing right now? The Wichita State thing would be fun. I just want to see him beat Kansas. Kansas is not a 2 seed. They're not. You got Perry Ellis gimping around with his knee, and the Alexander kid, who's out right now waiting for, the NCAA to do something with whatever situation he's got going on. But there's been some questions on some different goings on down there with that kid. So they're sitting him out until I think he's waiting. He and or his family are waiting to be interviewed by the NCAA, and I mean, you saw with Syracuse's case, it could be 8 years before they get to it. I mean, I don't know. But, of course, they want him in there. But he hasn't played in weeks now. So who knows what you're going to get. I'm sure he's been practicing, but, you know, they're just not a 2 seed. I could see Wichita. Even though they're not as good as last year, I mean, they came in undefeated last year. This team is just not as good as last year's Shocker team. And the main reason is because they don't have Cleanthony early. Somebody who can just take it to the rack like he did. Yeah, Baker can shoot the threes. Van Vliet is good with the distribution. He can get to the rim. But Cleanthony early was just the best athlete on the team, a great athlete, and they don't have that this year. So I can sure see him beating Kansas, but as far as a rematch with Kentucky, I don't think it would be as even as last year, and that was a great game last year. Heartbreaking, really, when you get down to it. And you know who I was rooting for in that one.
Right. All right, well, good breakdown, Chris. Good breakdown, John. You've covered all 4 of the regions, and that means it's time for us to make our Elite 8, if you want to go that far, and Final 4 predictions. So let's start with John. You have let's get your Elite 8, Final 4, and Final 4 predictions. Then we'll go to Chris, and then we'll do the championship predictions. So your predictions for Elite 8 and Final 4, John.
Okay, so I think I mentioned the Elite 8 as we have gone, but I'll run them down. In the Midwest, I have Kentucky and Notre Dame. In the West, I have Wisconsin and Arizona. In the East, I have Villanova and Providence. And in the South, I have Duke and Iowa State. And I have a Final 4 of Kentucky, Arizona, Villanova, and Iowa State.
All right, very good. So Kentucky, Arizona, Villanova, and you said Iowa State for that. Let me see if I have that right.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, very good. So now let's go to Chris for his Elite 8 and really Final 4 predictions.
Fairly similar. Kentucky and Notre Dame, Wisconsin and Arizona, Villanova and Virginia, and Duke and Iowa State, with a Final 4 of Kentucky, Wisconsin, Virginia, and Iowa State.
So you have Virginia in there. That's interesting. I think the thing I like.
They were.
Go ahead.
They were the second best team in the country for months behind Kentucky.
All right, no, fair point.
I still think they are that good.
You ran. What was the last one again? Iowa State again?
Iowa State, yes.
Okay.
I'm very big on them, just as John is.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think I've only become more so in the past couple weeks.
Fascinating. Well, no, I mean, Hoiberg can coach. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's a great X's and O's guy. I'm very impressed with these choices. And it's interesting. You both were in on Iowa State. A checker and a checker with that. So that's great. Good luck to your picks on the Final 4. And we continue now with your championship game predictions and your championship prediction. So, John, you have the first word. Who do you see in the title game and who wins?
Well, based on my bracket, got to go with Kentucky and Iowa State. And hate to say it, but I have to go with Kentucky to win it all. Obviously, this is crazy to say, but I'm picking them, but I'm kind of rooting against them. But, we want to win these pools, and so we got to go with what you think is going to happen, and that's kind of how I see it playing out. I don't see anyone beating Kentucky this year. They've just been too down, and I do worry a little bit about how they've just been in, hardly any close games all year. They had a couple on the road, and maybe they won't be able to handle the pressure, in a close, Sweet 16 or Elite 8 game. But they just have too much talent, and I think they'll be cutting down the nets undefeated. And if anything is a tough indication, completely go against all my picks, because every year that we've done this, I've just done absolutely horrible. So go against Kentucky, Arizona, Villanova, and Iowa State, and you'll be making money this year.
All right. Well, we will see if history repeats itself this time around. let's go to Chris for your title game and championship predictions.
Going somewhere else with this. Wisconsin and Virginia, with Wisconsin winning it all. I could not bring myself to write Kentucky in those boxes. I could be way off on it too. But going undefeated like that is so hard. You know what I mean? I'm figuring it's got to catch up to them somewhere eventually. At least I hope. I just could not bring myself to do it. Wisconsin is a very good team. They are very skilled. They know what they're doing, and they are well coached. And the past few years, they haven't been your typical boring, I can't watch this game Wisconsin team either. They've actually been okay most of the time to watch. So I guess I'm going to go with Kaminsky and Bo Ryan and ride that till the end.
All right, so that's Chris's prediction: Wisconsin versus Virginia for the title, and Wisconsin winning it all. And for John, he has Kentucky versus Iowa State, and Kentucky winning out. And let's just return to the topic of Kentucky. It's always a question you ask about a team entering a tournament undefeated. It's obviously more pressure to enter a tournament that way. Would Kentucky have been in a better position if they had lost earlier in the season, or even early in the season, and not had that hanging over their head? Do you think this affects Kentucky from a long-term perspective? John, your thoughts?
Not really, because, everyone knows they're the team with the target on their back. So if they'd lost, say, to LSU, that game, they'd still have a ton of pressure. It certainly wouldn't be as much as if, now when they're undefeated, but, they'd still have the huge pressure to win, because they'd be overwhelming favorite even if they had one loss. So I don't think it changes that much. Actually, David, after Chris answers this question, I'm kind of interested in hearing your Final Four.
Okay, I will review that. So, Chris, your thoughts about Kentucky's undefeated record? Would they have had less pressure on them? Would they have been more positively in position? Would they be in a better spot if they had a couple losses along the way?
I really don't think one loss would have made a difference. Not to me, anyway. I don't know what the team attitude is, what the team mood is. I'm not in the locker room, obviously. But as John said, they were still going to be the prohibitive favorite if they had lost one game along the way. That wouldn't even be close. And none of what happens before for any of these 68 teams matters at all once you get in here. You know what I mean? No matter how many losses you have, you just can't get one more.
Right. And
67 of them will have one more loss by the time it's over. So,
yep.
It's a whole. This is totally separate from whatever happened before.
You're right.
As far as records and wins and losses,
it all resets. Good stuff, fellas. So as promised, here is my Final Four for this year's NCAA tournament. I have Kentucky, Michigan State, Duke, and Arizona representing in their respective regions. All right. So then in that Final Four, Michigan State against Duke, I picked Michigan State to beat Duke. And this is one where I was looking at him like, did I really want to do that? But you know what? I'm just going to go with it because I think that, well, it's one of those things with Tom Izzo. It's just like a situation where it's like you kind of don't – after a while, you're like, let's not count them out until they actually are out. So similar to like Brady and Belichick. So anyway, up to now, I'm sorry, John, you had a comment?
No, that's really it's really daring.
It is.
You could be completely out of this by I don't know when they play, but you could be out of this by 9 o'clock on Thursday night. And that's, if the Dave Lewis is any indication, Georgia will be going 15 of 20 from 3-point land that night.
And it would be all right if that did happen, because I'm just having fun with it this year. There have been years and years of me trying to get it right, and it would always be something weird something funky that would happen along the way. I figure in this case, I am actually going to go with just go with my instinct, and I didn't really think about it too much. So, I think Michigan State really could go either way. It's like the kind of team where you would not be surprised if they lost early, and you wouldn't be surprised if they made the Final Four. So that's just where they've been over the last few years. So I think I got to finish up the predictions. So in the other regional final, it will be Kentucky against Arizona, and similarly, whereas Arizona has not made it to the big stage, this time I think I have them there. Arizona, in a fair upset of Kentucky, will win that game and go to the championship against Michigan State. In the championship game, I am picking the Arizona Wildcats to win the national title. And that would certainly be new territory for them because they haven't been in that spot since 97. So it's kind of bold, but I'm going to have some fun with it. Arizona, your championship in the tournament. So let's get some final thoughts. We'll actually start with Chris this time. Final thoughts about anything we've covered here tonight in our NCAA tournament preview.
Well, just one thing about your picks. Anytime Tom Izzo makes the Final Four, nobody should be surprised.
Right.
I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but if you're surprised about Michigan State ever making a Final Four, you're not paying attention. So I can't bash your picks. As long as you didn't have UCLA in the Elite Eight, anything like that.
I would never do that. They don't have the offense to do that.
You were going Gogger the other day about them getting in, just like you said. Yes, you got that one right. So not much to say except it's a great time of year. It is kind of bittersweet because I won't have college basketball to watch after this until October and November. But gonna enjoy this while it lasts.
Yep, and it'll be enjoyable for all of us. This is when everybody's on board, so this will be a good time. So let's go to John for his final thoughts about all of these scenarios regarding the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, these are the best 4 days of the year, or one of the best 4 days of the year in sports, from tomorrow to Sunday night. And I'll say it again, I love how they spread out the games with the 4 channels. I think that's the best move that Turner CBS has ever made. Ability to watch every game on all the channels, and then for those at work, you had on your computer, you can log in with your TV provider. It's just great. And I think Dave, you said it best. Don't take the brackets too seriously. I'm sure we're all in $5, $10, or $20 pools, but don't get too upset if someone if one of your teams in the Final Four goes out early. It's all supposed to be fun, and I might have taken it a little too seriously in the past, but especially that year I picked New Mexico to win it all. I had no idea what I was thinking with that. But I never lived that one down. But so just have fun with the brackets and enjoy the games, and hopefully we'll get some great buzzer beaters, and it'll be a great tournament. So I do think Kentucky will end up winning it, but I think in between, it's very competitive elsewhere, and the between the 4 and the 6 seeds are very competitive. So even though it might be a little top heavy, the 1 and 2 line, but I do think we'll see a lot of competitive games, and even though it might be chalky in the end, I think we'll have a good tournament. So I really hope we do, and it should be good.
I agree. It should be a good time. So thanks to both of you for coming on tonight and breaking down all these regions. It's no easy task to figure out what to pick between 64 teams, or at this point 68. And so it really means a lot for you guys to come on every year to break it all down. Thanks again. Good luck to all your picks. Good luck to your brackets and your tournament scenarios, your pools. Have a great time with the tournament yourselves. And we will do this again next year. We'll catch up also down the road. So thanks so much. Have a good evening.
All right. Catch you guys later.
All right, fellas. That's Chris in Syracuse. That's John in Connecticut. And that is our first hour. So we really enjoyed it. Glad that you all have been plugged in on it tonight. We will continue in hour 2 with Kevin on the Cape for random questions. We'll take a break, though, as we head towards our second hour. So feel free to relax, enjoy this music. We will return in a little bit. Dave in the City, Locks of the Week Radio. It's 7 o'clock. Beautiful, isn't it? I think so. It's a nice time. Oh my goodness. All right, so we'll return right back after this message.
Internet Sports Talk, Locks of the Week.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting. Oh, let him play.
Yeah, everybody have a show today. We had snow today, show today, show tomorrow.
I don't know if you want that on your credit card bill. You know, saying the WB network on it. I mean, like, your dad could look at it and be like, Dave, you have to tell me. That's the story that they still.
It's unbelievable.
You have your LeBron in the fillet. It's like, do you really care about the James Jones at the end of the bench and the potatoes?
Maybe the board, the MikeFrancisco.com, was just ahead of its time.
Pioneers.
Exactly, yeah.
Pioneers, if you will. Yeah.
We listen to this guy sit at a desk and picking his teeth every day and all the dumb stuff he does. But it's not like we're changing the dial. We like Mike. You know, we hate Mike. We love Mike. All that back and forth.
Bingo. Unbelievable.
San Antonio Spurs, Dave. What do they say about them?
They're boring. They're
boring.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Here we are, back at it. Now our number 2 commences now with what we all like to call America's favorite moment in sports talk podcasting. No, this one.
Random questions. Good stuff in the city with Kevin on the King.
I'm still getting used to the new soundboard that we are currently using now to play our audios. It works pretty well. I think it's a pretty good apparatus. So let's now bring in Kevin on the Cape on the show with us as we get used to new technology and prepare ourselves for the round of 64 in the NCAA Tournament. Junkman, welcome back. How's it going tonight?
Oh, it's excellent, David. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Is it warming up anywhere you are over in Massachusetts?
It's freaking freezing, Dave.
Really? Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, winter's back. Wind is strong. Very, very, very cold.
Man, that's really too bad. I didn't know that. I thought it was starting to warm up now. I guess not. I guess not quite there yet.
You're right. No, you were right. No, you are correct. Last week was nice. People were walking around. I think I had shorts on at some point, but now it's about 25, but the wind is crazy today and yesterday. And took a walk this morning with the lady, and we basically lasted about 20 minutes and just froze our faces off, and we went back in.
Man, that is rough. I didn't. Wow, that's well, gosh, 20 minutes. That's it. That's no good. So another month to go. Yeah, Boston area, man, Cape Cod area. They can be strange places because it takes a while for it to actually warm up. Like you were telling me, like it's either really cold or it's extremely hot, but the actual spring is not very long. Something like that. You mentioned that to me yesterday about the weather in your area.
Yeah. We refer to spring as Mother's Day weekend. That's pretty much it.
No, yeah, seriously, that's not much. And so, I mean, judging
it's winter until May 10th for Mother's Day, and everyone gets to go out and for Mother's Day weekend and enjoy some spring, and then it's completely hot. It's absurd.
Wow, not much going on there. But I guess in a lot of cases, it can be a problem that, I mean, during the summer, it's probably not as bad as other places. Like, it could be worse. Like in the summertime, you're probably better off than Chicago, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, like a lot of places in the Midwest. So there you have it. All right, Junkie. Well, 1 week since our last program. What else is new with you? Anything else new to report?
To report? I don't think so. Just normal sort of getting back into the flow after my vacation week.
Got it. Word up.
Things are sort of still pretty slow out here. The weekends are nice, but still pretty quiet business-wise. Yeah, I don't think anything too crazy to report.
Well, I mean, you can see you've acclimated to your regular routine again, so that's not too bad. But obviously,
I just became a subscriber to the Dave Show on YouTube today.
Oh, nice. Exciting. Hey, that's great. Glad to have you with us. Glad you've joined the legion of Deadcow subscribers.
Yeah, glad I could figure it out. It was pretty easy. You just have to hit a button.
Oh yeah, it's
kind of easy. I'm surprised.
Remarkably easy.
I was number 27. And then during the show, I saw it got bumped up to number 28. So I was fascinated as to who number 28 was.
Oh right.
They don't tell you that.
It might be Leo, because Leo said he was going to watch the show on YouTube tonight. So Leo Sinatra may have jumped on. And he might be 28, so that's my guess. Not bad.
I think it's terrific. I think it's fascinating. It goes to the same. It's very strange phenomenon that started probably with our buddies Mike and Meba when they were on Yes, and watching people talk. I think it's a strange yet fascinating thing. It's like, why would you want to watch someone do a radio show? You're supposed to listen to it. But for some reason, it's intriguing. You get a whole different perspective of seeing the person's facial expression, seeing what they're doing. Are they, when the guest they have on is talking, or they're interviewing, are they picking their nose? Are they looking at the ceiling? Are they checking their notes? Are they making notes? I don't know. It's a weird little phenomenon, but it's very interesting to me.
I was surprised how interesting it was for me too. I thought, why would I care about this? Like, it's basically the same thing, just that you can see their face, but there were definite nuances that get added when you can watch someone on YouTube. So I'm very happy about it. I'm glad that we have 28 now. That's pretty good. I'm very happy to hear that. I'm glad we're up to almost 30 subscribers, and more than that.
I'm going to make a shirt for myself that says I was number 27.
I like it. We should do that. We should issue like numbers and things, and you can get like priority numbers and such. It'd be kind of cool. So glad to have you with us. Glad to have you aboard. Glad to have all of you aboard too. We also would like to welcome to our universe Stitcher, which has accepted us graciously into their kingdom. So now you can get the Ditcow program on Stitcher. You can just look up Ditcow. You just search Ditcow on Stitcher, and you can subscribe to us and listen to our whole feed like it's a radio station in your car. So if you have the Stitcher app, you can add our program to your list of favorites. We hope you do so, because we promise we will give you the most uninterrupted sports talk of any program out there. We don't even have a commercial for Subway in here. So it's all talk. It's all like content. You will love it. And I honestly believe that we certainly provide more of it than the other average sports podcast does. So Stitcher.com, and then join us at DidCow. So if you are listening tonight on Stitcher, we want to welcome you to our universe. My name is Dave Medina, and this is my friend Kevin on the Cape. Kevin, what do you tell us a few things about yourself to our new subscribers on Stitcher?
Are these women? Are they men? Are they aliens? What is Stitcher?
They could be. Well, Stitcher is an app that basically it's an easier way to track your podcasts. But the distinction that Stitcher has is you can tune into your podcast like it is a radio station. Just jump, okay, we're going to put the DidCow program on, and it plays all the episodes in a row. So if you're in your car and you don't want to be fiddling around with the controls, you can just put it on that channel, and it'll just play all the stations straight away, or all the episodes straight away.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, welcome, audience, to Dave program. My name is Kevin. I'm 6 feet tall, 210 pounds, ice blue eyes that are gorgeous. I like long walks on the beach, and I don't like wine. I really like beer, even though I'm not trying to drink as much lately. And I like Bob Dylan and cigars and Theodore Roosevelt.
That's great, man. That's tremendous. And so that you have captured our friend has basically captured the essence of himself right there in those opening remarks. And so we are glad to have you with us. We want you to stay with us. I mean, we go into all sorts of different directions, and we certainly hope you enjoy it. And if you have any comments, again, at DidCow, you can see it right here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. To reach us, Dave in the city out west is DidCow. So the usage of...
And I am not. We have I think, Dave, actually, we never actually discussed this. I was thinking about this today. We may have the first show, the show that has the furthest apart duo, if that makes any sense. I think there's probably 3,500 miles between both of us.
Wow. Yeah, you're right, because you're not
unless some guy's doing a show in Hawaii and his co-host is in Miami, they've got to speak. But I think we may be the furthest apart ever co-host scenario ever.
Well, within the country, I would make that argument, certainly. Maybe if you had someone that was in a different country, like in Europe, and then I was here, that could beat us. But domestically, I can't imagine there being a larger distance.
Yeah, continental U.S. If Andy in Seattle was doing a show with RD out in Naples, Florida, maybe they might have a...
Oh, they might win that, yeah. Because that's like down in Florida, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll never do that. Junkie, I would...
So, for all the snitcher people, we're sort of an East meets West podcast. I guess maybe
that's a great one. That's a great way to put it. We are East meets West. I'm here out west. He's out east. It's as far east as you can get, pretty much. And you're pretty much on the tip of Massachusetts, because that's what the Cape is. It's that little arch that comes at the end on the very far east.
I think it's the furthest east in the continental U.S. I think the only thing further east is that very, very northern east tip of Maine.
Right,
I don't really think anyone lives there.
Yep.
I think it's just more of like a snow-covered icicle. So I think as far as human beings concerned, I'm pretty much the furthest east. Yeah.
That's tremendous company to keep. Am I right? Pretty wild, Junk Man. Okay, so on this program tonight, we have random questions. So those of you who are tuning in, if you're tuning in on Stitcher, you're not getting us live because Stitcher it runs off of a podcast feed. But if you do want to listen to us live, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's right on the Stitcher page, youtube.com/user/DidCow, or more simply, just go to our Twitter page, and the live link posts every time we go on air, every time. So right when we go live, you'll see a link right to our show. Just jump on that, and you'll be listening to us live on YouTube. So at DidCow for all the essentials. That's really the best way to get the show, because we feed a lot of stuff on there, details, guests. I even do trailers now for each of the shows. So we hope you are enjoying all of that. and we'll continue. Some people may not be enjoying all that, and that's fine. So we'll carry on anyway.
I've been watching all the trailers. They're great.
Nice. Yep. And there's more to come. I'm getting some ideas. I don't want them all to have me in it. That's sort of maybe a misconception. I want other people to get into them too, because ultimately what I'm promoting is I'm promoting other people being on the show, not necessarily myself.
Right. I think that'll come with time. I think people will catch on to it. I think you'll be able to get some time and figure out to get some more people involved. But yeah, it's a good start.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very pleased with it too. I have this for you. The MLB podcast we did while you were on vacation with Jaron Piscataway and Ari in Philadelphia, we are over 150 hits for that episode now.
Is that all? All right, 150 hits, so 127 of them are Jerry Piscataway's women.
I'm not concerned with where they come from. I think it's tremendous. I think.
Right. Well, it's a smart job. It's a smart job out of you. He's got a big following with the late teen, early 20s kind of Jersey Shore kind of girl.
That's true.
So it's a good move.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm in on it too. I think that's great. And he does have a big following. You notice that, the previous time we had him on the show, like the week before, people were running in the chat room because they were excited about Jerry getting on the show. He's that kind of a draw. Like, he's a big deal. Like, people really go out of their way to listen to him when he's on. So you got to give him some props. He's really got quite a personality.
He is a complete draw, Dave. I think, yeah, he's one of your. I think he's one of your must listens. You don't have him on a lot, but when you do, which is probably a good thing. If you had him on all the time, Zach might get old. But when he comes in short bursts, and he's terrific.
Yeah, no doubt, no argument for me. We really haven't had a miss most of the episodes we've had him on. So.
Yeah, you want to wait for that 9-game Yankee losing streak, and then you put him on, and ratings will go up through the roof.
Boy, he seems pretty defeated lately with the Yankees. That's his team is terrible now. I mean, it's just bad. But he's still gonna watch the games like they're championship games. It's not gonna affect that. I think he's still gonna get all riled up, whether he anticipates it or not. I think that's liable to take place. So there you have it, Junkman. All right, so
yeah.
What other guests do you feel like are must listens? Like when you hear them on the show, like are there any others that come to mind?
I mean, I might be a complete homer for this guy, but I've been a fan of him for years. I could listen to you and Andy talk forever. He's funny. He's self-deprecating, but he's got a really, really good. He's got an underrated knowledge of so many sports. I think maybe he's got more time in his hands than most people, but he knows a lot of stuff. He knows gambling. He knows TV shows. He's very interesting. I've always enjoyed listening to him.
He is certainly one of the more fascinating guys we have on the program, and I don't think that's really changed. He's a tremendous guest on the podcast, and I can only hope.
The dark side, Dave. Like, he's got this little side or dark side where he's taking pictures of girls at Starbucks. So you're not really sure if he's got a loose cannon or he's just an eccentric kind of guy. He's an interesting cat.
He's an interesting cat, no doubt. I mean, maybe a Mongo will poke fun at it once in a while, just because he's gotten poked at a lot over the years. And the aim is not to be that mean-spirited, but things can happen.
He does get made fun of, but I give him a lot of credit because he's not a whining little weirdo. Like, he gives it back to them.
He does.
He accepts his fault. He knows he's a kind of a strange cat. So.
Right.
No, it's overall he's interesting.
You know what? Andy is, if nothing else, and this is something I seriously I will forever applaud him for this. If there is nothing else about Andy, he's honest. And I don't know anybody that's as honest as Andrew in Seattle. And mad props for that. I'm not even joking about that. I mean, perhaps other people might be more loud about things, but he is the most honest guy I can think of.
You calling me a liar?
1A. That's usually my usual response to that. No, you're really honest too. That's right. You're right on. I've never really heard you not say how you feel about something. Honestly, you're really good. Yeah, honestly. So good stuff. Anyway, let's carry on. We have certainly other things to talk about tonight. The NCAA tournament starts. It's round of 64 tomorrow. So more of the same. That's your bag, right? The NCAA tournament. You're a big fan, are you not?
My old as a youth, I was big fan. This was actually the first time, and I was thinking about this tonight before we called.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first year in 25 years I will not be filling out a bracket.
Ooh, you soured on it. I didn't realize this. Okay.
I wouldn't say I've soured on it.
Okay.
That I haven't watched 1 minute of college basketball. I know less than nothing. The most I've listened about college basketball was when I watched your YouTube, Joe, the first hour, and listened to John and Chris and yourself. Yeah, I know nothing. I don't pretend, and I don't gamble when I know nothing. That's been a rule of mine for a long time now. So life has taken me in different ways and different turns and twists, and I used to love it, ever since I was 13, multiple brackets. And last year I watched a little bit and filled out one and got one of those really cool things where you pick a team and if they covered the spread, you advance, and that was kind of cool and made me some money. But this year I'm just done. I'm not doing brackets. I'm not doing bets. If I was going to do a bet though, Dave, I would start a website and call it notkentucky.com and just take the field, because it just seems like everyone's crazy on that team and they're going to get tripped up at some point. But like I said, I don't know anything at all about it. So I'm not betting this year. I'm sitting it out and I feel all right about it.
Cool beans. So you are taking the field. That's funny. I'm not ballsy enough to quite to do that. And I'll add this. I'm sure you would agree. That doesn't stop some people if they haven't seen a single game. They're like, they pick this and this and this, and they act like they're this big expert. It doesn't stop some people from filling out a bracket. So maybe you'd be more accurate. You never know.
No, you're correct. But that's because people want to be part of a little office pool. They want to be part of the pool at the bar, and they want to be involved. And I don't have any desire to be involved in society. So if I don't know anything about something, I'm not just gonna. It's sort of like why I don't play the lottery. I don't know anything about. I don't feel like giving my money away to something. I don't know. I don't have a lot of it, so I just kind of keep it for my little treats.
Good deal.
Simple man, Dave.
Good deal. Yeah. I mean, why not, right? Why not you? Although I did once.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand it derails the show because I don't have any thoughts about it. But you did a whole hour before, so I don't need to talk about things like that.
No, you're fair point. Did you? Yeah, I mean, these were good observations by our friends John and Chris in our first hour. It was really well done, and they picked some upsets, and we agreed on some of them. Like I agreed on a couple of them. We all like Stephen F. Austin over Utah. I thought that was cool. I'm like, wow, I thought it was just me, and no, these other guys that watch way more basketball than I do were in on it. So, I can dig. So, will admit I can be a bit mysterious sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's all good fun. So whatever. So all right, let's move. Let's carry on then. So we tend to do our best when we're not talking about sports, for funny enough. But tonight, what's on the table? Well, St. Patrick's Day. I'm having a 1 day late St. Patrick's Day dinner. So I'm cooking the corned beef again like I did last year. I'll have the Guinness. I'll have the sandwiches ready to go. It'll be a good time. Hopefully it'll come out better than it did last year. It came out well. It just was a little stiff. So I just have to be a little more. What did we say last year? Like we cooked it too much or too little? What was it that? What was the verdict on that? I think we cooked it too much.
I think you cooked it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
too much, right? So I have it timed out. I have the timing out much better this time, and I calculated it should be 2 hours. I started the program just about the same time I started the corned beef, which was about 6 o'clock local, which was 9 o'clock over where you are. And by 8, it'll be right on. So when the show ends, I'll just go over and stop it, and I'll take it out. You got to take it out and let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes, and then it's ready to eat. So I'm pretty pumped about this. Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. It's going to be good. So what did you do for St. Patrick's Day? I mean, I suppose you worked, but any festivities along those lines during your work time or during the course of the day?
No, there was no work festivities, but we did, the lady and I, we did prepare a feast of corned beef and assorted vegetables. But this year, instead of boiling meat, like most of my Irish ancestors did, and just completely cooking the crap out of it, instead we chose to whip out my old slow cooker, and we cut up this awesome piece of corned beef. It was like 2 pounds, and just cut in big chunks and put the vegetables, and we put it in the slow cooker. And when I left, and when she left, the house for work, we put it on, super slow, like 10 hours, and it just cooked extremely slow. And by the time I got back to her house at 8 o'clock at night, it was so good. It just fell off. It was just, everything was amazing. So it was good. I'm trying not to drink beer. Actually, that's not true. I'm not trying not to drink beer. She's not allowing me to drink beer anymore. So I was going to stop by and get some Guinness on the way home, but I didn't because she doesn't want me to drink beer anymore. And then when I got home, she said, I can't believe you didn't get any Guinness for St. Patrick's Day. So I can't win. So we had wine instead, which, whatever. Wine is weird. I'm not really a big fan. But the dinner was amazing.
I would have made an exception for the beer, though. Like one night.
That's exactly what she said. And then I'm like, I don't know how to read people's, especially women. I don't know how to read their minds. You told me you didn't want me to drink beer anymore, so I didn't buy any beer. What the hell? And then now I'm supposed to buy it because it's a stupid little Tuesday in March. So I can't figure women out. So I don't really try to figure her out. I thought it was nice that she said, I would have given you a pass because it's St. Patrick's Day, but I'm only half Irish. And so I didn't drink four beers that night. So that's, 1,000 calories that didn't have to go in my stomach, which is nice. But the dinner was amazing. I had amazing company. We watched our House of Cards show, which is our new show together. It's our first show together, actually, really. And then we went to sleep by like 10 o'clock. So it wasn't too exciting, as far as my old life goes, my old St. Patrick's Day goes. But I have full memory of it, which is not like the old days. I didn't pass out in a gutter or a dumpster like I used to. So that's a step up, I think.
Nice improvement. I love it. Boy, I love it when you go talk about the dinner. It sounds so good. And so glad that went well. So do you fashion your lady as a good cook overall? Would you say that she is?
Well, we have, she's a terrific, she has a terrific knowledge of food and of flavors, and trying to put this in the best way I can. She knows the flavors, just what goes together, things like that. But as far as as a cooking person, she's horrible. And I don't say that in a mean way at all. It's that she has so much stuff going on in her head, and she tries to do a lot of things in the kitchen, and eventually burns everything. So the best part about our relationship is that we understand our strengths, I think. And she knows what goes together, and she knows, like I said, what vegetables go with what protein and that kind of thing. So as far as the physical act of cooking, I do all that. But as a team, she preps the vegetables and knows how long I should cook something. But I think she just gets distracted just like I said, because she's a terrific person, and she's got so much going on in her life where I think sometimes, the smoke alarm, she thinks is the timer, and the smoke alarm is not the timer. The smoke alarm is get out of the house without fire.
That's the timer? How did she arrive at that conclusion?
A lot of things get burnt when I leave her in charge. So we've got to this understanding where she's sort of the head chef. And if you know anything about restaurants, Dave, like I do now in my new world, the head chef never cooks anything. The head chef has gotten to that point in his life, and he runs the restaurant, but he doesn't actually do the physical cooking of anything. He is in charge of the recipes. He's in charge of making sure everything's prepped and everything's done, the recipes are done correctly, but he doesn't ever cook anything. So she's the head chef. She makes the menu, picks the things out, does everything right, and I'm the guy who actually cooks it and concentrates on it and makes sure it's not overcooked or burned, and that things come out at the same time. So as far as the teamwork, it's good. We've gotten to the point where it's perfect now in our different roles.
It sounds like you are the bigger master of timing based on that description. So that's wild. I love it though. I mean, this is great. I mean, really things sound like you guys are hitting it off. It's pretty cool. I was worried, Junkie. I was worried that, how they say that the long vacation, like when you go a long distance for an extended number of days, that can be a real damper and that can be a real, what's the word? It can really be a sledgehammer to a relationship. It does not sound like that's happened so far. It's only been a week, but do you subscribe to that theory, or do you think it's just a bunch of shenanigans?
So what's the theory? That when you go away together,
Yeah, it was referenced in Seinfeld once, like the long distance vacation or the long vacation in a relationship can be a deal breaker unless you're married.
Yeah, I think it could be. I agree with you. I think it can be a total deal breaker because if you're dating someone, you go to work and sometimes you stay in your place, sometimes you stay at her place, but when you're on vacation, you're not working, it's 24 hours, for 7 days. So I think it could be a total deal breaker. Just because of there's no gap, there's no break. If you want to go for a shopping trip, she's there. If you want to go for a walk, she's there. But on the good side, if at the end of the week you realize, or if at any point during the week you realize, I don't want to be alone. I want to be with this person. Normally I'd go out to a bar by myself, but no, I want to take her with me. So I think it can be terrible. I think it definitely can be a deal breaker, but I think it could also be a huge step in your relationship. If you realize this is a woman or a man, whoever you're in a relationship with, that I don't want to be apart from, except for, taking a poop or something or taking a shower. You have to have some privacy, but.
Wow. This is
remarkable. Yeah, you're right. I think it's people should do that. They shouldn't wait, until they get married. They should go on vacation together. It's definitely, you learn a lot about the other person. You see them in different circumstances. They're out of their element. They're out of their environment. So you do learn a lot about the other person, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a lot of discovery. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Dig it. I can dig that. Kevin on the Cape is who you just heard from. My name is Dave Medina, and we are covering a feature called Random Questions. And if you have a question for us tonight, those of you tuning in live on Blog Talk Radio or on YouTube, you can see that YouTube is clearly the superior medium, because even if you don't actually watch it, you can still hear what we're saying, and it's live, and it's just like 100 times easier to get to. So we recommend the YouTube feed if you can do it. So for those of you who are tuned in live, you can tweet us at Ditcow, DITCOW, with a question, and that is what we will take. You can write any question you want, hence the term random questions, and we'll continue answering them for you throughout this next half hour. So there you have it. Junkman, let's get your plans for the upcoming weekend. What do you have on the agenda?
First day of spring, Saturday, Dave.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I have no plans.
No.
It's easy.
Hopefully the weather will match the day of the week that it is, or the date of the year that it is. Certainly wouldn't want otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do some stuff in the store, to make people think that the winter is over, and doing some sort of grilling promotions and ideas and recipes and techniques. But people they're just going to look at me like I'm crazy. I mean, I try it every year, but it just seems that it ends up being 35 degrees and like hailing on us as I try to tell everyone to bring their grills out and grill fish and stuff. So I still try it. I still work it, whatever. But yeah, it's going to be difficult this year.
All right. The grill, in effect. I know you're big on doing, is it oysters or is it clams? Or is it both on the grill?
Both.
Both. Okay. Just getting that straight. So how often do you put red meat on the grill during the year?
Oh, that's definitely in the mix once a week, probably.
Okay, so it's like it's like next in line. Then after that, you would go red meat. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Next random question for you. Okay, have you ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse where they bring out the meats to you in little racks and then you can choose what you want?
Right, I have heard of that. There's one on the Cape that I hear radio ads all the time, but I have not been to one myself.
Ooh,
that would be interesting.
Junkie, if you ever get the chance to take some buddies with you or your lady down to that place, I would love to hear the report. Man, I would live for that. So if you get the chance, I will be very excited to hear your report card on it.
All right, that's good to know. Maybe that we could do a little night out there. It's called it's lame, yeah, but it's called the Brazilian Grill. It's in Hyannis, which is probably like a half an hour, 45 minutes from here, from where I live.
I hear Hyannis. Is Hyannis happening? It seems like a place where it could be happening.
Yeah, it's the closest thing that we have to a city on the Cape.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fine. It's also got its really crappy parts, but like any city does. So.
Right.
But yeah, I could check that out in the future. That I didn't realize it was a big thing. So they cook the meat in front of you. How is that? How is that happen? Like the grill on wheels?
No, they don't cook the meat in front of you. They cook the meat on the spit over a fire. But what they do is they get these giant sticks and they put it on the stick, and then they bring the meat to you and they slice it in front of you. So it's a steakhouse without the work, man. It's so good. It's like you can eat as much as you need as you are willing to eat. I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, gosh, the regular steakhouse is like it's just way more work for you. You have to slice it, you have to chew, you have to pick the cut, and you have to arrange for the sides, and you have to order them. Here they just bring it to you, so you can actually try. It's a unique experience because you can try so many different cuts within the same meal. So yeah, you're not eating as much of any particular one, but you get so many different choices, and they're all kind of thematically tied together. It's just an amazing experience. I would highly recommend it every day of the week. So, oh, so good. So if you do try it, give it a go, and let me know what your favorite cut is too, because really popular ones include the picanha and the filet mignon, stuff like that.
Sounds very interesting.
Oh, you're gonna love it, and the presentation is top notch. I think no matter where you go, but certainly places I've been have been very good to me from that perspective. Oh, it might even be too much. Like you would be like, they have appetizers too. They have like rolls, cheesy rolls, and they have vegetables and things and potatoes, and you're gonna be mesmerized by how much detail there is here. It's really good. All right, Junkie. So I need to take about a 20-second break because my sound pad is on a phone and my phone's battery ran out. So would you be all right hanging out for like just 20 seconds while I go get my phone charger?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. This will not take long, I swear. So I will jump on this. I'm gonna play my theme music, and then I will be right back. Okay, so Junkie's on hold. We'll be right back. This is Dave in the City. All right, how long were we at? Okay, let me get Junkie back on the air. Okay, back at it here in the city. Junkman, how much dead time was that? How much silence was there during that musical bed? Hello? Hello? Is that you, Junkie?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, we're back. Okay, we're back on the show. How much dead air did we have there? I tried to cut it as short as I could, but I think I still.
You mean after the song?
Okay, so there is no dead. That's all right. Never mind. Let's carry on. Okay, so we're back back doing the program, and so we were talking about places to eat, which is a constant topic here. All right, Kevin, what questions do you have for me tonight? And you can ask me as many questions as you like.
What are your two favorite things in the world?
I think if food counts.
What are your two favorite things? What is your two favorite? Well, not food. Yeah. My question has a follow-up question. Food is. The question has a follow-up.
Okay.
Two-parter.
Favorite thing. So perhaps things other than food. Then let me see what I can come up with. Two favorite things in the world. Oh wow. Does sports count as a thing?
I guess.
Okay. No. Let me do something more tangible. Okay. So two favorite things. Is popcorn a thing? No, it's a food, so I guess no.
Well, no. I mean, I guess you answered it. Food and sports are your two favorite things.
Yeah. No, actually, that's about it. Yeah.
So the follow-up question is, which one would you choose to live without, you had to choose?
All things considered, and I'm sure this will be not a huge surprise to anybody, I would dump the sports if I had to choose between the two. I grew up with just the food, and if push came to shove and I decided we're not doing sports anymore, I would be happy. I would be okay with it. I would live with it, and we just go revert to food. So even this show, like if I decided to do that, we would just become a general entertainment show for real. Like the whole thing would be just general entertainment. So, yeah, and it wasn't even that hard. It may seem like a difficult decision, but in all honesty, it really wasn't. I feel like at the end of the day, I think that food can satisfy me more times than not in any given situation. Sports doesn't always satisfy me in every given situation, but in many it does. So I think it's an easy call. Let's say that you had to choose between, well, I think I know your answer too, but let's say food and sports. Or maybe for you.
Food's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, see, that's not even that's an easy choice for you. So, okay. What are your two favorite things?
Well, I always enjoy finding out what people like and how, if they are willing to give it up for something, or in for something else. I think it says a lot about. And I don't know if it's their vices or things that make them feel good, but.
Okay. Cool. Well, would you say
my two favorite vices are cigars and Bob Dylan. I mean, that's obvious. We've talked about that forever.
Right. Oh boy, here's a good one. Which of those two are you willing to give up if you had to pick one?
Well, going on the fact that you have to give it up from now,
right?
Going forward, I would give up Bob Dylan only because I know everything.
Exactly.
I've got it all in my head.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I like
there.
that.
It's already there. I can sing the songs in my head. I can look at it. I can look outside at the ocean and start singing songs and that kind of crap. So I would give that one up because it's there. But yeah, I've also not smoked. This is maybe news to the show and news to the world. Not to the world, listens, but I don't smoke anymore. I rarely smoke anymore because the lady doesn't like the cigars, Dave. Said I'm not happy about it, but she doesn't like the cigars, so
wow.
I'm down to like
that
one
stinks.
every, I don't know, like 6 or 8 weeks,
Dang.
2 months. It's I didn't even think about this. Just think about this. Think about this. If all you know me for, I don't know, 5 years now, right. I went down to the Caribbean, Dave. Went down to the Caribbean for a week. 85 degrees, a porch off my bedroom, beaches everywhere. I did not have a cigar at all the entire week.
Unbelievable. That's unprecedented.
In my old life in Key West or wherever I went in Mexico, I'm having 3, 4 a day when I was in my 20s. Now I did not have one the entire week. That's ridiculous.
That's wow. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this. I'm not familiar with you not having cigars. That's crazy.
Right. No.
Wow. How's it feeling?
I breathe better.
Wow.
I don't smell as bad.
Okay.
So far the returns are good. Plus I have a big giant beard now, so if I smoke cigars now, it would get caught in my beard, and I'd probably smell for a week at a time. It'd be pretty gross, actually. So overall, it's, I guess, a good thing. I don't really miss it, actually, which is interesting. Sometimes I'll actually buy one at like the convenience store, but I won't smoke it. I'll just chew on it, like in the car. But I won't actually smoke it. So that's weird. I don't know what that means, but whatever.
Yeah, I know that. I know, and it's pretty clear that. Well, I wouldn't say it's clear, but it's evident that cigar smoke, like quitting cigar smoking is better for your health because of the tobacco.
Yeah,
and all that.
I guess the point is, forever I've been by myself.
Mhm.
You know, for the longest time. You know, like we've said I've talked about many times. Moved out of my house when I was 17 and been on my own for 20 years. And you don't really, you kind of do what makes you happy, what makes you feel comfortable. And then all of a sudden now you have another person in your life who you care about, and they ask you to do certain things, and you're like, holy cow, there's another person involved in this situation. So you think differently, I guess. And certain things become less important, and certain things become more important. So it's all about growing up, I guess, and having different people in your life and different people you care about, and wanting to appease someone else except for yourself, because for 20 years all I really cared about was making myself happy, and now you are trying to make someone else happy, and in turn making your own self happy. So it goes hand in hand. So I guess it's sort of a different perspective on your daily life, where in my old days it was, I don't really care, as long as I'm happy, everything's good. But now you have a whole other human being to look towards and to look forward to seeing, and trying to make them smile and things like that. So things change when you get in that kind of situation.
That really is big of you to give up something you hold so dear to yourself for the sake of a relationship, and for the sake of someone that you love. Is it safe to say you love her? Is love the word? Is that strong? What do you think?
No, that's not. That's
Wow.
not strong. That's pretty accurate.
Wow. I love it, man.
But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, how those things develop, and you look at other people's relationships, and people complain about certain things, and this one comes from a different world, where not a different world. That's weird. Just a different, where we accept our faults, and we're trying to work on, or at least my faults. She doesn't really have any faults, but she accepts my faults, and then, like we've said before, I'm a pretty honest guy, so she knows all my faults and knows all my shortcomings, and she's working on fixing them little by little.
All right, Kevin. This is certainly quite a profession of your devotion. Let me ask you this, though: has she given up anything of hers, any habits of hers, for the sake of the relationship in your favor? Like, has she given up anything for you?
I don't think so. But first I wouldn't want her to give up anything.
I see.
For me, that would. I mean, I think that's a bad precedent to set.
Right, I understand that, but she did ask you to like quit something. So I was just curious as to whether she was doing anything that you wanted her to quit.
No, it's not like she was. If she was like freebasing cocaine or something.
Okay, I got you.
That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Set that up for it. But no.
No, okay.
The only thing she's given up. Yeah, the only thing she's given up is half the bed.
Hey, it's nothing wrong with that.
I'm a large guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a large guy. So if you're going to share a bed with me, you're not going to get your normal sleeping space. I'm a pretty big dude, so.
All right, Junkie. I think that's fair. I mean, that's a small price to pay, I think. And besides, what fills in? Okay, I'm not going there. Anyway, well, we're down to about the end of it. So that's pretty good. I'm very thrilled. I'm really glad that you found inner peace, comfort, and satisfaction. I think this is the happiest I've really seen you or heard from you. I think it's really good, and so I'm really thrilled for you, man. I wish you more of the same. personally, I think you got a good thing going, and so you have my support here, and I'm very thankful that things are going well for you. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was a rocky road for a while, but I'm pretty happy to.
That's good, man. That's really good. Keep the faith. Not keep the faith, but keep it go. Keep the love, man. That's awesome. That really is. And so finding that special someone, can't really say much more than that. I guess I could ask you about Valentine's Day about a month back, but it's so far in the past. I'm not even going to bother with that. So I think that's it for me. Let's see if I have anything. No, that's it. I think that's about all. So, Junkman, good stuff. Did you have any other questions? Because I remember you only asked the one about the 2 favorite things.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's we can just wrap it up. And good luck to.
I had a bunch before, but I totally forgot because we've been talking for an hour. I had a bunch
That's
before
all right.
the show started.
We'll do it again next week then. Couple programming notes. We will do a WWE podcast on Tuesday night, and then we'll do our regular show, the 2 of us, and some other scenarios.
Oh,
on
I think
Wednesday.
my random question was, why are you doing a WWE podcast?
I think we just had some good feedback from it last year. We did one last year. It was a suggestion from the board, and several of our board members were on there. Quickies was on there. Ari was on there. We had Umberto's Clam House join us. It's really hilarious. And so I think we're doing some of a WWE podcast, and we're doing some of we're clowning on the WWE podcast. You know what I mean? Like we're both covering the WWE and making fun of it at the same time.
I like it. That's a great idea.
It works great. It's really an entertaining conversation. So we'll do it again. We will have that for Tuesday night at 10 Eastern, so a little later. And then our regular show, same time, 9 o'clock, or usual time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So 2 shows next week. And that's it. That's all I've got. That's all Junkman has. Let's close it up. Junkie, thank you so much again and again. Continued success. We will do this next week. Junkman, take it easy. Enjoy the tournament, and may you be well. Thanks so much, man. Take care.
You got it, brother. Take care.
All right, bud. That's Kevin on the Cape. I'm Dave Medina. Hope that you enjoyed this. For those of you joining us for the first time, we'll do it again next time. But until then, we'll see you next time.